and welcome to another episode of FooBar. In today's video, we are going to start recapping on all the launches from re:Invent 2020. Well, not all of them, my favorites. So the first one I want to address is the new optimized connector integration between Bedrock and Step Functions. So in this video, we are talking a little bit about the launch and I will show it to you in action. So let's get started. So last re:Invent in 2023, we announced this optimized integration between Bedrock and Step Functions. Before this, what we needed to do in order to Bedrock and Step Functions to work was to write the Lambda function and invoke it from Step Functions. And that Lambda function will be invoking Bedrock. I have many videos on that and I will leave them on the description box. But now you can avoid the function and call Bedrock directly from the state machine. This has a lot of benefits and also it simplifies your application. And this optimized integration comes with two APIs that are integrated like this. The first one is the create model customization shop and the invoke model. So let's look at the first integration, the create model customization shop. This, what it helps you to do is fine-tuning to customize a foundational model, a base model, foundational one with your own data. So you can input like the data, where is your data in S3, and which model you want to fine tune with your particular data. And this API will do that. Because this is a long running process, you can use the sync method. I will be talking about integration patterns in a later video of Step Functions, but basically what this does, it will start executing this API and pause the state machine while the execution of the API. And when the fine-tuning stops, the state machine will resume, the workflow will resume, and things can handle from there. So this is the first one. And in this video, I will not cover that. Let me know if you want to learn more about model customizations and things like that, because I can bring an expert to talk about that. The second integration is the one I want to chat about. So the second integration is one that we have been working a lot. As I said, we have been working with Lambda, that is the invoke model itself. So here we can invoke one of the, I don't know how many foundational models there are in Bedrock right now. And instead of using a Lambda function, we can invoke it from the state machine. So let me go to the console and show you in action. For this demo, I will be using the Workflow Studio, but I will leave you the code for the most complex state machine in the description box. You can find the link and you can learn how to do it and try it by yourself. One important thing is that when you start working with Bedrock and Step Functions, you need to pick a region in where to create your state machine. That is a region where Bedrock is available. So in my case, I'm using Virginia, but make sure that you are doing that. Also make sure that you have enabled all the models that you want to use. Give IAM permissions to those foundational models in your Bedrock account, so then you can use the model. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check my video on Bedrock. There I explain everything. So let's go to the console. So the first state machine that I created is the simplest of all. It's one kind of box, one step, one state that is basically calling Bedrock invoke model directly. So you can find Bedrock integration by just typing Bedrock in here, and you will find the two optimized integrations that are available, the create model customization shop and the invoke model. So you can configure this state in many ways. Let me show you a little bit of it, and then I can show you more detail in the second state machine that is a little bit more complex. So the first thing you can do is you can define if you want to use a foundation model or a provision model. These are your custom models from Bedrock. We are not getting in there. But if you pick from the foundational model, then you will have all the list of models available and you can pick one. So there is quite a long list. These are all the models that I have enabled in my account. Then you can enter the inference patterns parameters, and here you can enter them manually or you can load them from S3. I will show you how to do it like this. So here what we are doing is basically putting a prompt, write me a story about a cat in space, and I'm telling you how many tokens I want in response. This is very similar to things that we have done with Bedrock. If you notice here, the amount of parameters that we need are less than if we are working with Lambda. We need to input a lot of things. In here, Step Functions will take the load and will have a lot of defaults for each of the models that you're working with. You don't need to add anything extra, but you can override any of the existing parameters. Then that's it. That's all you need. You can handle the input and output and error as you will do with any state machine. When you create this state machine for the first time, you will see that a role will be created. So here it will say create a new role. Now I just have it. And this role automatically will enable access to Bedrock and that particular model and API, invoke model and that particular API. So you don't need to give any permissions whatsoever. It will happen automatically if you are using the Workflow Studio. So if we execute this, we can see it in action. We don't need any inputs. And here we can see that the model is being invoked. It takes a few seconds and we can see the input. There is nothing here. The output, here it is. It's the write me a story about cats in space. And in the completions, we can see once upon a time in a distant galaxy, there was a cat, blah, blah, blah. And here is the story. And that's basically it. So this is the simplest way to use this integration. Let's go to my other state machine. And this one is a little bit more complicated. This, I think, is a more realistic use case. And here you can see that we have the same invoke model, but there is quite a lot of things going on before, and there will be some things happening afterwards. So here what we have is a file that we get from S3. In this case, it's a transcription of a video. And basically we need to get the transcription from the file from S3, and then create a prompt out of that transcription. And for that, I'm going to use these two pass states that what we'll do is basically grab the content from the file and then create a prompt and make that. So this is just transformation of data. And then here I'm creating an S3 URI that I need in order to pass to my Bedrock. So this has a little bit of data handling, and that's the lovely thing of step functions that allows me to build these simple data transformations without calling a function. So I can do these data manipulations, and then when my model starts, basically I can have the same. I have the foundational model here, and then here you can see that in my parameters, my prompt is the completed prompt. So basically it comes from here, that I'm formatting the prompt with the basic prompt and the body file content. So what is that? Here we have, let's see, here is the basic prompt that will say, given a transcript, please provide me the description, titles, and tags for this particular video. This is just hard-coded text that I need for this prompt. And then here it says, here is a transcript from the video. And what it comes after that is the content of this file. This combination of prompts, what it does, it grabs the basic prompt and creates a string with the basic prompt and the file content all in one string. So that will be passed to Bedrock in this completed prompt. Again, I'm passing a max tokens here, and then I have some additional configuration. As I said before, step functions allows you to pass this prompt either from S3 or from the parameters. In this case, I'm passing it from the parameters, but the response, you can do the same. You can either obtain it in the parameters and get it as part of the state machine, or store it in an S3 object. And why we want to store it in an S3 object, or why we want to use it as an input, that's because the payload of the workflows. The state machine allows you to have 256 kilobytes of payload. So if you have a bigger file than that, then you will not be able, and you will be exceeding the payload limit. Usually these files from Bedrock, these results from Bedrock are bigger than that. So it's a good practice to store it in an S3, and this happens automatically with this integration. So in this case, I'm giving a path to where to store this result, and I'm constructing that path in this path state here. That what I do is I'm formatting the bucket with the name of the input array and result JSON. So I'm doing some intrinsic functions here. You can learn more in a video on intrinsic functions if you want to learn more. But basically, that's how I'm creating that URI. That is a file name that is specific for the input and will be like result.json and will be stored in this URI. And with that, then we can execute this state machine. I will go to the state machines and I can go here so I can execute it. This state machine needs to have as an input an event that is an S3 event. So basically, whenever we create an object, we put an object in S3 in some particular bucket, this state machine will be triggered. And I'm faking this event here as the input. But the idea here is that whenever you upload a file to this particular bucket, the state machine gets triggered. And because of that, I'm using this input text. So if I start the execution, we can see that the file is get from S3. So we can see here the file content. This is the transcript from the video. Then I'm basically adding the basic prompt to the output. So you can see here the basic prompt, and this is without the transcript. Then I'm combining the prompts here. And you can see here, here is the transcript from the video, and here it starts the transcript from the video. So I attach the two things together. Now I'm creating the URL for where I want to store the results. And you can see that it appears here. S3 bucket is the name of the bucket. This is the original name of the input file. And this is the appended thing that I added. And this is the Bedrock invoke. So if we go to this particular destination, we should see the JSON file that has been uploaded. So let's check this bucket here. This is the time. Yes, this is the time. So let's download this. Let me open it in here so you can see what is going on. Let's make it bigger. So here we can see the prompt, given the transcript provided at the end of the prompt, blah, 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 blah. And here you can see all the prompt, and it says, or it says here is a transcript for the video, and here it starts the transcript from the video. Then we go to completions. We can see that data here is the result, and this is the description that I wanted. These are 5 titles that I'm asking for and some tags. So basically, this is a result I wanted. As I said, the code for this state machine, you can find it in the link in the description box. And that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think this is a really cool announcement from Step Functions that allows you to do things in a way more simpler without less code and maintaining things. So I always support that. There are more re:Invent launches coming up in the next week. So follow this playlist where you will find them all, and stay tuned for that. And if you want to learn more about Bedrock and you don't know what I was talking about here, just check this link where I'm going on the details of Bedrock. And with that, I say I see you in the next episode of FooBar. Ciao, ciao.